So today, guys, we're going to extend the idea of finding the formula for a given pattern and use it to plot a line. As well, we're going to use lines to work backwards to create a pattern to get a formula. So there's a relationship between all three of the things and the math that you've done over the last, since last Thursday. All right. So again, you'll be given things like this, where it says find the general formula for below, which is the math we worked on Monday and Tuesday, create XY points, and then plot the line. And I'll show you how to create the XY points once we get everything in there. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm just going to fill in the chart. Just like the way that we were doing with the last class, I'll take this pattern here. These are the terms. I will place them here. Then I'll put the term numbers, pause for a sec, talk a little more, and then move on. So I've just added the pattern in the column here for the term, and I've added term number here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll figure the gap out. Remember, you figure the gap out just by subtracting the previous term. In this case, 11 take away 5 is 6, so we added 6, so it's a plus 6 gap. We're going to get into negative patterns shortly, which is why I'm saying plus 6. Plus 6 here. And then 17 to 23 is plus 6. If we were to keep going, it would be plus 6 onwards. So I know it's going to be 6 times the first number plus or minus something. 6 times 1 equals 6. And then to get 5, I subtract 1. That seems to work. 6 times 2 equals 12. Then I subtract 1 equals 11. Perfect. So it looks like it's going to be 6 times 2. 6 times 3 equals 18, and then if I subtract 1, it's going to be 17, and then 6, not G, 6 times 4 equals 24, and if I subtract 1, I get 23. So it looks like the general pattern is 6 times n, keep looking over G, 6 times n minus 1 is equal to my term, all right? So equals term would be a way of doing this, or equals t, right? So before in the questions we were doing Monday, Tuesday, we were then asked to sub in to find a future number. Now what we're being asked to do is to plot a line based on this graph, and this formula represents the line. We could then extend the line to find values, or we could use the formula. It's how the math all kind of interrelates. So I'm going to pause for a second, just create an XY chart, and I'll show you how it's created, how the terms are made. So I just created a quick XY chart. Now the XY chart actually comes out of this stuff. Remember, XY values are coordinate values we use for plotting. So I have a graph down here, and just as a reminder, the X line is the one that goes left and right, and it always comes first. The Y line is the one that goes up, down. So the X line is always the one that goes left, right. X, and the Y one is the one that always goes up and down, the Y one. All right, so our Y values will get plotted. Well, we'll use this line here for Y and this line here for X. When you're doing this work, the X value is just the term number. All right, in future things, I'm just going to put N and then in brackets X, so we don't ever really have to create the coordinate chart all the time. All right, you can if it helps you plot things, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And some of the questions you might have to. But for your own work, and for at least the work for today, feel free, if you're comfortable with it, not to do this step. If you make mistakes and you're not super great at math all the time, don't do this. All right, so we have coordinate pairs being created here that we're going to use to plot. All right, don't skip this step. So they come out of the pairs, the position, the term number, and then the term itself. The X value represents the term, the position, and then the Y value is the term itself. So the value, okay? Sorry, X is the term number, like right here. All right, so go back and I can just write X here. And the Y value actually comes out of here, the term Y. We kind of put them together to plot the line. So this graph here is kind of blank. The X value, I'm just going to actually put 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little cumbersome using a computer, so I will pause the video. And then I need to choose a scale that appropriately goes up. I'm probably going to have it go up by 5 just to make my life a little easier and so that it doesn't go super high. Just because there's 5, there's 11, 17 is kind of close to 15, and 23 is kind of in between 20 and 25. So that's the scale I'm going to put here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take these values and plot them. You've been plotting lines for a long time. You just use the X value to find the left, right, and then the Y value to find the up, down. You've plotted points before, and I know you've done lines in previous grades. Last year may have been a little wonky, so I'm going to choose to use red, so I always plot dots first, and it's going to be no different on the computer. I find the 1, and then I go up to 5, and I put a red dot. I go to the 2, and I approximate where I think 11 would be, and I put a dot. I go to 3 and its partner 17. 17 is kind of halfway between 15 and 20, a little closer to there. It's there as best we can anyways. And then 4 and I go to 23, and 23 is pretty much up in the middle. And then I connect them, all right? I know that because this one's going by 6 that it gets a little wonky. 0 would be about -1. It's supposed to aim for there. These aren't perfect squares. You'll notice I did my best with this program, but it doesn't work out so well. You'll have a better job plotting with perfect squares in your graph books if you have them at home. But as such, I'm just going to cheat and use a line to get automatically drawn, and it'll kind of connect them. Yeah, nice and thick and cover up any mistakes. Yeah, I'll just change the size of that guy. It's not working. Select them. There we go. Change the size. We'll thin them up a little bit, put them on a diet, and like that. And then draw the line. One thing you also do that I can't do right here is you actually write the equation, control copy on a line whenever you make one. All right, I get to cheat and I just can copy and paste it, and I'll rotate it. And you make it look like that when you do stuff, right? Some of your questions may actually ask you just to plot the pairs without connecting the line. Plot the pairs without connecting the line. And then you might need to label up the pairs depending on the question. For the work, when it's just my stuff, I'm good with just this being done. Make sure that I know what the coordinate pairs are, either by labeling it here and there and then plotting them correctly, that sort of thing. I'm going to show you how to get coordinate pairs off of a general line and then work backwards to get the equation. All right, give me 1 sec. Actually, you know what? The video is getting long. I'm going to make a second video for that part of the work.